Well, take it away to game number 2, and we'll see if you're right in that 2-0 prediction when we come back, Mike.
All right, with that, of course, we are going to go into game number 2 between TNC Predator and the side of SMG, and it is, of course, MLP Dota and John X5 once again. John, game number 2, you seem to be kind of favoring the side of SMG. I was kind of leaning towards the draft of TNC. What are you thinking? I mean, do you think this DK is going to be a bit of a problem? Because I do believe TNC's game plan is going to be to try and aim down that mid-tier 1 tower and just open up the triangle and the dire jungle. And I fear that SMG may not have the kind of draft to really defend these towers.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm giving out win conditions for SMG. I still think TNC has the better draft. Like, because the push potential from this DK early on makes it so tight for a Dusa and a Ricky to share farm. And even a Brewmaster. Like, this is not a selfless offlaner in the Brew. You need a Blink. You're probably going to be eyeing something like your Ags down the line. It's a lot of farm on here that doesn't have the best wave clear on hand. So you've got really 3 big farming cores. I think the best situation here for SMG is that they get a smooth start for the Dusa, they defend their mid-tier 1, and they somehow get this early start on Moon where he doesn't need to sit in that jungle and soak farm away from the Dusa. That's what we have to see from SMG. For TNC, you just hit level 6 and you look for those fights.
They've got to stun out. Boomy. He's going to Icarus dive away. Just fighting over that Observer Ward is... SMG, they got the D ward off onto TNC, but now TNC knows there's an Observer Ward on that high ground, and well, there you go. Arfu, he'll just deny it off. Don't want to bother with it. That is probably the better play out from SMG, and we'll just go ahead and secure their respective bounty runes now. Speaking of, John, we were talking about that Enchantress in the lane, but it looks like Arfu, he's going to go down to the bot lane with KP. So they're going to throw up the Lion in that top lane. Roger going to be there, along with mid 1 on the Medusa. Going into the Viper Tusk, though. That is a very hard lane for that Lion, let alone the Medusa.
Yeah, it's not going to be a fun time here for mid 1. You're going to need a lot of levels to really take control there. Tims can just look to be super aggressive. He's got the early boots, as you tend to see, so he can gap close, look for the tag team, look for that slow pickoff, but they are getting some good damage onto bot. He's not respecting the output from mid 1 and Raji with her control, so you have to be cautious, and it can be a bit awkward for Tims to gap close as well, as long as it's close to the tower. So this creep control coming out from SMG is kind of helping them get that initial start done for mid 1.
I love what Roger's doing as well. Tims, he wanted to go for that pull in the creep wave to try and secure the level 2 of the Viper. That's what Bok really needs right now, is that level 2 mark. And in fact, Bok gonna lose his courier there to Roger. Not gonna feel great for the Viper. And SMG, they're doing a great job of just shutting him down immediately. Bok still yet to hit that level 2, and look at Roger. He'll just run him down now. Without that poison attack, you can't really harass out this Lion. He needs one more creep. Mid 1, he just got such a great start on that Dusa.
Good signs for SMG, just playing that spacing quite nicely, and the Viper will need a little bit more. You can see Tim's going for a small pull here. Well,
Arfu, he was in a spot of danger. Scabby getting very lucky with some bashes. KB going to try and give a bit of damage back, but I suppose we may as well speak about this lane while we're here, John. Boomy and Gabby going to be up against Arfu and KB. Do you think they'll be able to apply the pressure onto this Faceless Void, or do you imagine Gabby should just be able to free farm here in this Void?
I think Boomy's not going to win out this right-click trade, at the very least. The Blightstone's just a bit too much from Afu. Does dive away, he's safe, but it's a bit scary trading like that against the Ench, especially with the early Nature's Attendance. Gabby, for the most part in this lane, I shouldn't be too scared. Like, this is the right play out from Boomy. He's throwing his body forward, so you're not getting harassed out by the Ench. It's melee versus melee for the Faceless Void, so you can kind of not worry too much about trading hits. You can always kind of time walk away and just get steady build up. I think one issue for Gabby is he's not going to flash farm like a Dusa, so he has to get a little bit more from this lane, otherwise he's going to start lagging behind compared to mid 1 at some point.
Absolutely. Mid lane, Moon and Armel just kind of going at it on the DK and the Ricky. Very even kind of matchup between the two, and this should be a very kind of boring matchup as bot lane Arfu in a bit of trouble. Boomy going for the Icarus dive, and he will be able to secure the kill. Immediate tips out onto Arfu from Boomy. We're not going to be too happy about that one, as you got the first blood going to TNC, and of course as the position 5 Phoenix, it's always going to feel quite nice as now Roger goes down. mark at that level 3 mark and really start applying the pressure. And just look at this, poor old mid one. He's going to try and run, but Tim's, he's going to break him off with the snowball, and a great chance out. Mid one's gone. That's what you wanted to see, and I gotta say, I love the fact that Tim's, he did not even level up his tag team. Just going for the snowball shards, it's paying off.
And just really hard for SMG to play against that. Like, all the movement control, the map denial that the Tusk brings out, makes it super hard for Dedusa to run away. Early levels for Dedusa, of course, not the tankiest. Level 1 Mana Shield, level 2 Mystic Snake to try to counteract, but definitely not enough to sustain that DOT damage. And TNC already off to a really good start. 3-0 so far. Pretty much every lane looking quite solid, even that mid lane for Armel. He's trading a lot more evenly with Moon. It's not as rough of a start, but as long as that DK is not slowing down, he's going to have that blink timing up. He's going to be able to rotate by that level 6 mark, look for the mid tower if he wants to.
KP.
And you can see SMG. Oh.
Bot lane, KP, he's in a lot of trouble right now. He is trying to run, but the bash on the last hit from Gabby. Of course he gets the bash. Classic Gabby Void.
Yeah, just when you need it comes out. And TNC, they kind of knew that the Enchantress wasn't around, so there was no sustain, no one else to trade hits with on the bot lane. Afu's already up top to try and stabilize the lane with an enchant creep, maybe looking for that opportunity to be aggressive, but that just leaves so much more room for Gabby. And you can see the top last hits right now on TNC. It's all on Gabby and Armel. Quite a good amount, at least a creep wave ahead for Gabby, which is really good news, as again, you're just not going to have the same flash farm potential coming through compared to mid 1, and having this good start for Gabby enables him to just hit his spikes a bit faster.
Mid lane, Moon, he's been caught now. Shards are out. Pack, or rather, tricks to the trade was there. There's Arteezy. He's facing the mid lane. I believe that was Armel placing that one down. Moon. You had to ask some help there from Rogi, so you had the TP rotation in from their Lion. See, it doesn't really amount to much. He is kind of just sticking around here with Arfu to make sure that they cannot catch out Moon, but they're going to go in again. Snowball is out. Earth Spike is going to be there just in the nick of time, but the shards not going to connect. Moon will get away with the salve, and will Blink Strike in for the range creep. We'll still have the salve going. Kind of risky plays here from Moon, but does pay off.
Yeah, it's on the edge. They're really committing hard for mid now. Afu is going to go for that bounty rune.
They found Tim's. He's right next to the Ancients. He could try for a deny. We'll see how lucky he can get, but the Ancients, they're just asleep right now. They're not going to wake up. This little pick up there from the side of SMG, and as that is the one of the strongest suits about the line and Cantress support joys, you can just roam around the map as two and really set up kills for yourselves. It's exactly what they do.
Yeah, they're starting to get control in that triangle area. They have a nice forward ward to watch the stacks that might come out, and you saw SMG kind of do that before.
They've got the Chrono out. KP in a spot of danger. He'll try and make his way away, and it looks like he might just make it. The Fire Spirit damage not going to be enough. He will survive. 35 HP. There's Arfu. Rotate down, but you just take the lane for himself for a bit. Maybe anything lost here for the side of SMG.
I don't think you're going to be too worried about that on TNC's end. Like, normally you just see a lot of safe lane Void just holding on to the Chrono. I think at least using it, looking for the opportunity is fine. You don't really expect big Chronos early on anyway, and it just kind of relieves pressure in the other lane. So you break up that roaming duo of the line Ench, and they're not going to be looking for kill opportunities for now. It gives some relief towards that DK on mid, gives some relief towards Bach on top lane, doesn't need to worry about being flanked by those two supports, and it still kind of plays into this slower pace of game where TNC and SMG are both fairly satisfied. I think we need to see TNC play around this Dragon form on Armel relatively soon, look for a shove on a tier 1 tower either mid or top, and kind of just start shutting down some of that jungle space that mid 1 is starting to get.
They might commit it now as Rogi. He's being chased down. Tim's, as the shards out, will block the staircase, but Rogi has wisely run towards the north instead. Just fine. Armel, he did rotate onto the DK, but like, he is just going to go for that top tier 1 tower. So not bothering to try and go after that mid tier 1 yet. He'll leave that be for later. May as well get started with the top tier 1, which is going to be significantly easier. Started with that dragon form now. It's mid lane. Gumi. Chased by Moon. Moon being a little bit cheeky here on that Ricky. Boomy with a haste rune. And still has the Icarus dive up. Should be just perfectly fine. Soak some XP and back out of there. He is annoying to Moon as possible. Fire Spirit to help Moon. He'll go for a fight with him. She forced to back out, surprisingly enough.
The magic damage is a bit strong, and his supports were pretty far out, so Moon can't really afford to overextend. Armel does TP mid, but they still find the top tower, so you're fairly satisfied here on TNC. You kind of prevent a shove-in on your mid lane, preventing any further excursions out from SMG. The 1v1 lane here for Gabby still working out really nicely. He's not slowing down, but there's a lot of space coming out for mid 1. His jungle's been uncontested. That could be an issue here for TNC if they just leave this Dusa alone for too long. The farm is just going to start racking up. It's just the nature of that Dusa.
Yeah, mid 1's doing a great job right now. Just hanging out in that dire triangle and doing his job of farming up some stacks. But mid lane, Rogi going to make the rotation in. Boomy, he'll be targeted here. Icarus dive away, though, is going to be there in time. And now the shards are out from Tips to lock them down for Gabby. To get the two-man chrono off, and the tag team will even be popped. They will find one, and they'll find a second. Oh, tries to go on to Arfu. Just TP away. Already found two great targets for themselves, and with KB and Rogi down, be a bit of mid T1 tower pressure being applied.
Yep, they've got the push potential on hand. They do not have Dragon Form for a few seconds. There's enough time here for SMG to respond with a bit of a defense. You can see Moon just being far forward. Is under a sentry. They've got an idea as to where that Ricky is, and TNC just, again, playing a lot more safe, a lot more disciplined. They don't force the issue. They go back to farming. They go back and try to build up the advantage. SMG, though, do find a smoke in themselves.
Good, but Moon's been caught out already. KB gonna rotate in, has the primal split, and will go for it right onto Bok, but a nice snowball back the way of Moon. They want the Ricky dead. Tricks the Predators out. That should protect him long enough, but Boomy, he actually Icarus dived in there and does get hexed up and will cost him his own life. There's now Tim's. He's stuck around as well. A small mistake from TNC, but it is gonna cost them heavily. It's SMG now. They're the ones to take the first mid tier 1 tower. And that's not what you like to see if you're a TNC fan. It's exactly what's happened.
Just really good punishment out from SMG, knowing that the utter chorus of TNC split up to farm. There was no chrono to play with for the team fight there, and they don't have the levels and the supports to really counterplay Woody Egg with a burst damage that Walrus Punch can afford you as well. So they find a good opening. They get a couple of good kills. They get the mid tier 1. That's more space out here for mid 1. Especially just staying safe in that triangle. And it opens up the bot jungle just a bit more. Offroot gets a forward excursion, takes out some camps. They are under vision right now, and TNC for their part, well, they are smoked up. They've got level 6 on Tim's at the least. You can try to burst someone down with Punch.
Gonna try.
Good scan.
Into the triangle instead, mid 1. Off at the right moment, and it's kind of like you said, it was a very nice scan out. Arfu, he'll hang around, but he's happy to break the smoke of TNC if he needs to. Instead, they'll run the other way. The mid lane where they might find Rogi, and there's your snowball out, but Rogi, he'll go for a run, but it won't matter. They reach him. Dragon Form immediately into that tier 1 mid tower. Yeah, nice and easy stuff for TNC. SMG, they're still going to try and defend this with mid 1. Presence may be enough, in fact, on the right side, Arfu. Been caught out, but the tag team going to be within range, so Gabby unable to finish the job and unwilling to commit the chrono for that kill. It really won't matter because they still found the mid tier 1 tower on the side of TNC. You've got the chrono to play with. In fact, Gabby, he's TPing up top. They want Moon. They want the CEO. They want him dead ASAP, and TNC connects the snowball with the Walrus Punch out. Moon, he's going to try and blink strike away with the TP. Can they get a stunner? Can they get a bash? They will get the stun. Nice pick off there from the side of TNC, and it's going to be an immediate pause out from Boomy.
It's shaping up really nicely for TNC. That movement mid especially was a bit surprising. It looked like they could have waited for Armel's blink, but they still find the kills. And now that blink is flying out for the DK, so they've got a lot of options to initiate. They've got a lot of ways of starting these fights. They've got Chrono ready to go here on Gabby. He's going for the Sanj after this Maelstrom, maybe looking for the SNY, perhaps a disarm with Evan's Halberd would be really helpful as well against this Medusa. And overall, I think TNC, they are ahead, but it's not a big amount. Less than 1k coming out. This is mainly down to the fact that mid one has had pretty much free farm in the jungle, not really being contested too much. This is at the cost of his other cores not farming. Moon's a bit behind on that Ricky, KP's lagging behind on the Brewmaster. Nowhere near the blink timing you'd want for the Brew, instead opting for that Spirit Vessel. Ags is also still a bit of a pipe dream there. Moon is at least closer to his Diffusal, but that's not going to help with his survivability. When he does get jumped, the likelihood of him dying is just pretty much there. So it's going to be a bit longer until these heroes start to have that bigger presence on hand, and TNC, for their part, are doing a great job of applying that pressure early. They have to keep maintaining that pressure, though, and they definitely need to start thinking about where mid one is, because this Deuce is still at a very comfy amount of gold, 500 ahead of the Void, still keeping up there, and once the Manta's up, maybe once the Scotty's up down the line, once the Ags and Ag Shard are available, the Medusa is going to be really obnoxious to fight against.
See? He's not going to be scouted out of the line. He'll be alright. SMG, meanwhile, just trying to focus in on that bottom tier 1 tower, and they do manage to pick it up. The longer they can just keep TNC away from mid 1, the happier they are on the side of SMG, and mid 1 just continuing to hang around that triangle, keeping that farm up. Be enough to just take the net worth lead away from TNC. But you still are going to have to be rather worried about Gabby, because he's already hitting quite hard on that Void, but now with the Manta up, mid 1 going to be feeling a little bit tankier and be able to escalate and farm a little bit faster. You can see TNC, they are posturing quite aggressively. In fact, they do find Arfu. They're going to try and find a way out of this one, but it looks like he is going to go down rather fast. Immediate TPs up towards the top side. Gabby, he's got a DD room. He sees the Ricky again, exact same spot as last time, and he does time walk in, Moon. He's going to try and blink strike his way out into the tree line. Gabby, as it does pop it, does find it. Rodgy, X out, finger committed, smoke screen there, but the snowball will buy some time. Gabby needs to get out of that silence. He will get out eventually, but now the trick's the trade out. Instead, they'll go after Rodgy. They'll get the line, and now the Chrono right on target. They'll find the Ricky. Moon has nowhere to go but down, and Gabby will get a double kill. SMG just have no answer for the gameplay of Gabby so far.
Yeah, it's just super difficult. Ideally, you'd want KP around there. He needs to be able to split when he sees the Chrono to get that Cyclone off, but TNC just finds these targets every single time, and SMG was farming a bit forward, especially on Moon, right by that tier 1 top. It's a TP point, really easy access for TNC to look for that turnaround play. So not quite the ideal. I think the saving grace for SMG is still down to the fact that at least your Deuce is not being dropped. So you're still stalling out for mid 1. You're still going to hit this Ags timing with a Manta up on that Medusa. And you can kind of depend on that to sort of give you some momentum. The issue is you're slowing down your Ricky, and this is also a tempo-based core that needs the Diffusal ASAP. Still kind of close, but not quite close enough. Once that Diffusal is up on Moon, this could feel a lot better, but still really squishy and vulnerable to be up in front for his team.
Again in that mid lane, SMG, they want to try and go onto the bot, but can they burst him down fast enough? He's a tanky boy. They'll go for the primal split, but Timps, he's into the backside, onto Rodgy. They want the lion dead. Bok, he's still surviving. They can't kill the Viper. Arfu, meanwhile, just ticking down slowly as Gabby will continue to chase up. They just want the supports gone, and they will get him. Almost the same story as last game. It just seems like SMG, they're lacking damage. Nobody from TNC's dying.
It's a damage issue, and this time around, SMG weren't even able to play aggressive early. Right, like last time around, we saw them put some forward wards behind the tier 1, invade that triangle for a while. This time they've just been playing a bit more passive because of the Medusa, and it's just giving TNC more of the opportunities to dictate the game. They're in that Roche pit right now. They've got a lot of damage flying through, especially with tag team up. SMG can't afford to give this one away.
You haven't got the primal split. I'm not sure about this one, as Gabby will jump out onto the Brewmaster, and KP looks like he's about to die, but the Stone Gaze and the Hex may have bought a bit of time into the backside. They'll go after Rodgy, but they'll lose Tim's and they'll lose Boomy as Gabby now. He's out of position.
Huh?
They'll spike him up and he cannot time walk away. It's a great team fight out from SMG now. It seems like all they needed was mid one to join in. They want to try and fight over this Roshan though, TNC. No one will allow this to go for free, and Boomy is looking for a way to dive in, but there is help around. Aegis is going to be taken. Moon has got it on the Ricky, and now Boomy is out of position and does get fingered down. It'll be a dieback on the Phoenix. And suddenly the tides seem to be turning to the side of SMG.
Yeah, it's back to a bit of over-eagerness from TNC. I think we talked about them being disciplined. That time was not very disciplined. Gabby was chasing down the line into the high ground ramp, a bit way too far from his team to get the follow-up he needed, and SMG, they suddenly turn around, take Roshan, take a 2k net worth lead. They've got a safety net here on hand for them when they play aggressive for Moon, so they've got a lot coming out here, and TNC have to be cautious. They do have Chrono coming up. They need to land that combination to win this fight.
Moon hunting with the DD rune. Gabby, unwilling to try and go after that Ricky this time around. We'll leave him be. TPs are coming though. He's starting to group up. SMG, they see it. It'll be enough for them. They'll just back right out. So SMG, they still get it, right? With the Medusa, you know you can go very late game. It's Medusa after all, so they're more than happy to let mid one continue to farm up. There's no real rush for them to try and fight unless you're fighting over things like the Roshan. That SMG, just going to kind of play the cat and mouse game right now, just trying to avoid the side of TNC while they are quite strong. Actually, while Gabby does have that chrono up. So both sides, looks like they're just going to take a bit of a breather. I say that, but the jump's in. Armel, he's found Rodgy on the line. Snowball is going to be there to follow up and does end up connected. Now Moon, he's jumped in. They've killed off Rodgy, but they might lose Armel for that DK. He is taking a lot of damage from the CEO himself, but Armel is still alive somehow. There's your egg out. They're still trying to man fight. They'll eventually get him, but now Gabby will run in, but no, there's your Cyclone out from KB to hold him up in the air. They don't have the damage that's required now. Instead, on the backside, does kill off Bok. Gabby, meanwhile, still trying to get off Fu, but it is taking way too darn long, and now they get the Hex out. That'll be Gabby gone, and Arfu gets a sweet, sweet tip out onto the Void as Boomy is going to try and run and should eventually die. Rodgy just waiting for that Earth Spike to be back up, and he does eventually get it. Very bad news here for TNC, but great news on the side of SMG.
And it's TNC again, just jumping the gun a bit. Their initiation, not the best this time around. They hold on to Chrono, so they at least have that tool for the next fight. But Gabby's targeting for heroes is a bit awkward. He's trying to chase down the Enchantress. Bok wasn't around to use his Nether Toxin. He was silenced up. He didn't have his Guardian Greaves off cooldown, so he's got to be more disciplined now with a Guardian Greaves usage to counteract some control coming out here. It's just really awkward when they can't get that break on the end. She just stays alive for way too long, and you're seeing the disruptiveness of that Brewmaster now. When he splits, he gets the Cyclone off. The Void can't do anything. He needs that BKB up, and Gabby's still a ways off from finishing that BKB up. So maybe a bit more patience here for TNC, but SMG, they've suddenly got the 7k lead on hand. They've got a huge Medusa on hand. Mid one's at 13.6k compared to Armel, the next farm here at 9.5. The Ags is up, so the annoying Mystic Snake spam is out, and it just makes it near impossible for TNC to play against.
But Moon just rushed down the side of TNC, just trying to find a target. He won't blink strike in. Back out of there, but he's obviously feeling very confident with that Aegis up. In fact, they'll TP down to the bot side. See if they can find another target. Everyone from TNC just gets out. He's to the western side of the map, and it doesn't seem like TNC are feeling so confident any longer, especially when mid one does join these fights with that Aghanim Scepter up. It's so hard stoning that's happening to your heroes. It's Gabby now. He gets jumped on. They'll have the Sun Ray to try and heal him up, but look how slow he runs. With that defuse when they just blow him up. He is just gone. Now Bok trying to fight our food, but we've seen this story before. The Enchantress just take too long to die. Moon, he will find a secondary kill for his team. His SMG going down that mid tier 2 tower. TNC, it's looking tough for them. I mean, Gabby, he needs a BKB or something, and Moon, he's just in on Boomy.
It's awkward for TNC. They have no way of stopping this Ricky's initiation with that Blink Strike smoke screen. They don't have 4 staffs up yet to save. They need some way of getting out of that silence to use their spells, but SMG's just playing so fine here.
To another, Tim's just can't survive the damage output. I love what Moon's doing. He's just so confident right now, understanding the advantage he has. Jumps in off those T4s, and now Bok try and back off, but such a hard kind of defense to make for TNC, but they'll try. Armel jumps in with the stun, but there's your smoke screen out. And make sure no Chrono is there to follow up in mid one. We'll pop the Stone Gaze. Armel just turning his back, but there's Moon jumping in again with the tricks of the trade, and it will be enough damage as they go in with the egg now. But where's your Chrono? It'll be committed onto mid one, but where's your damage output? He's taking none, and now the Tornado. KB just disrupting the void mid Chrono. It's going to be onto Bok again. The Viper's in trouble, and now Gabby has been caught out. He'll go down. There's no firebacks left. They do at least kill off Moon, who dived way too deep. Perhaps that'll be enough to try and defend this mid lane of Rax, but it seems the mid one is going to be able to finish it off and should be able to just back off to safety for SMG.
The good news for TNC is that they still have tier 2s all around, tier 1 up top as well, so there's no further objectives for SMG to take. They're not going to bleed out anymore. The issue is there's a 15k lead for SMG. This Medusa is just left alone for way too long. They did not invade that jungle. They did not gank Medusa except for that 1 kill in lane. So now the Scotty's up, level 20 is up. You've got plus 35% Mystic Snake mana gain every single time that comes out with the Ags. You're just going to be frozen. Mana's topped up. Mana Shield's going to be much more effective. And for TNC, they need a lot more here. They really need this BKB on Gabby. They need to finish a 4 staff on Bok. Once you maybe have those 2 items up, you can counterplay against that Ricky. But there's a lot riding on SMG right now. And they've got that bigger late game win condition. Like, yeah, Faces Void with Chrono can kind of take the ultra late game, in a sense, because of how effective Chronosphere is throughout the entire game. But it's just way too long, way too much time they need to reach that point. So they've got to be super cautious approaching these next few fights here.
Mel will be caught out by KP on the top side. Fu going to join in, but he's going to go for a TP, and looks like that's going to be just enough. Be anything in the way of cancelling that TP from Armel. You gotta love the fact though that SMG just continues to chase down the side of TNT no matter where they go across the map. Understanding their advantage. Just making sure to just kind of choke out TNC and not give him that breathing room. Moon will spot out Boomy, and it only takes a split second. If that smoke screen diffusel's out, you are not getting away. Not without a BKB, you're not.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Just too much damage, too much control. It's just really obnoxious right now for TNC to deal with that Ricky, and they're just losing so much space in the map. Their bot tier 2 is already gone, so the bot lane's exposed. Top lane's going to be exposed shortly once that tier 2 is taken care of. You can see the confidence in the SMG taking over the triangle, cutting down the creep wave. They know they've got this big advantage. And TNC, they're not completely out yet, but they need to start chaining their combination out. They need big Chronos with eggs to follow up. They need to avoid the smoke screen as much as possible, avoid that Earth Spike and Hex. Gabby's taking massive risk walking here, though. He was under a ward.
And Moon, he has a DD rune up. Gabby, he's going to go to farm the creep wave, but he's going to pay for this very soon as Moon is just going to continue stalking him. Gabby needs to find a way out, but he hasn't got a BKB yet, and there's your finger out. Even another one, Armel. He showed up on the DK. He'll try for the TP play, but is it going to be enough? Oh, the tornado connected. What I swore he
man.
disappeared off my screen there for a second, John, but turns out they got him.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, those are two really big cores. There's no buyback, especially for the DK. That's pretty big, as his respawn's a minute 10. So I think you can just clean up. Another set of racks, no real counterfight potential from TNC. They could maybe stave off mega creeps, maybe fight in those tier 4s. But I think you're at the point where the Deuce is just too big to answer here. And TNC's going to have to really play perfect to punish any overextension from SMG.
What a turnaround as well from SMG, right? Like, compared to game 1 and even the first 15 minutes of game 2, they just didn't look great, but now it looks like they've gotten that momentum they were looking for, and they're feeling amazing. At least they are looking amazing in this game too, as TNC, it's a very tough team to come back from. They're gonna have to try their best, but there's just so much room to catch up. Not much room to do it in. Gabby, he's still trying to get that BKB up from a void, but it's going to be such a long time. In fact, never mind. It's going to be about 450 gold, but feels like it's probably not going to be enough at this stage.
No,
There's
it's,
a butterfly coming out on mid 1.
there's just too much durability on this Deuce already. Like, you don't really want to catch her into Chrono, but you have to. But you have to focus on the other heroes to kill first. Like, the Deuce is just a bit too tanky, unless you get a good Chrono wherein your Viper and your DK can hit from the outside as well. Maybe without much focused damage, you can melt through the Deuce. It's going to be hard if they do get the Aegis though. That's going to be 2 lives, potentially cheese on mid 1 as well. Free Ag Shard coming out to maybe buff up that Brewmaster as well with a Primal Split could be really annoying. Still, the good scan out does manage to save SMG. They know that there's some counterplay around a Roche Pit. They play it safe, and they could turn it around. If they know TNC is going to try to sneak a Roche themselves, they could wrap around behind, get some punishment off.
I like how you said the scan saved SMG, John. I feel like the scan saved TNC, where this game's going. They are going to make their way up to the high ground right now. Moon looking for a target. Will blink strike right into the Phoenix, but a nice 4-staff away, and there's your egg being thrown out immediately. It will be enough to survive for now, but meanwhile on the backside, Rogi has been caught out and will die in the Lion. Will they kill off Boomy, and now they'll find Tims. Great start here for the side of SMGs. They'll find another. Will die. They almost lost Armel there as well, mid-TP, as oh, Gabby's not even out quite free yet. Fix the trade, smoke screen is right on top. He's trying to pretend like it's a tree. They do see him now. He'll try to make the run. BKB up, but immediate fashion. Now the Chrono being committed. He's going to try and kill down the Ricky, but Moon is actually quite tanky now. He just won't die. Snowball forward through the creep lead back onto that Ricky, but it's just not enough. Tims, he is in a pretty awkward position as now. Bach, we chase down the Viper. Be another death for Bach, and they call it. They've had enough. This game is all over the place for TNC and SMG. Well, what a turnaround, John. Just looking fantastic in this game, too.
Yeah, they played really disciplined. They were taking